Ladies and gentlemen, our guests of honor enter. Please stand up.
Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are extremely happy to welcome you here in our beautiful city on behalf of the University of Szeged. It is our special honor to welcome Professor László Rovó, rector of the University of Szeged. Professor Rune, president of the EUGLOH and rector of UIT, the Arctic University of Norway. We are especially honored and proud to welcome Nobel Prize laureate Katalin Karikó, professor of the University of Szeged. And Anne Luyé, professor of the Lund University. We also welcome Dr. Judith Fendler, chancellor of the University of Szeged. Professor Gábor Szabó, chairman of the Board of Trustees, Foundation for the University of Szeged. Professor Sandrine Lacombe, professor of the Université Paris-Saclay and coordinator of EUGLOH. Florabelle Cabarrubias, president of the student board of the University of Szeged. And María Pilar Moracho Torija, member of the student board of the University of Alcalá.
We would also like to extend a special welcome to the Deputy Mayor of Szeged, the members of the Board of Trustees and the members of the Supervisory Board, Foundation for the University of Szeged, the Vice Rectors, General Directors, Deans and Vice Deans of the faculties, the leaders of scientific and cultural institutions, economic, civil, professional, social and political organizations, educational and health institutions, the representatives of the press, and all our guests and those who are following the event on YouTube. Honorable guests, we ask Professor László Rovó, rector of the University of Szeged, to deliver his speech.
Dear Professor Anne Luyé, Professor Katalin Karikó, dear fellow rectors, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, guests, I warmly welcome you, all of you, to the University of Szeged. It's a great honor for us that this year we can organize the annual summit of the EUGLOH Alliance. We have prepared a lot for the event. We hope that it will rich and colorful program will be useful for everyone here. Please allow me to say a few sentences about the history of our university. Our higher education was founded by István Báthori of Transylvania more than 400 years ago. And historical reasons dictated that the university moved to Szeged, so for more than 100 years now it has been the defining intellectual center of our region, the Southern Great Plain, and one of the most of the excellent higher education institutions of our country, Hungary. We all of this historical background and the pursuit of excellence in recent decades, we entered the EUGLOH as founding members in 2018. We share the Alliance's common aspiration that the EUGLOH European University Alliance will become Europe's leading higher education network, with ever closer ties to each other to the field of education, educational development, and research and development. Considering that all the members of our alliance are the best higher education institution in their regions and countries, this common vision of ours is realistic and feasible. Nothing reflects our excellence better than the fact that the researchers from 3 universities received the recent Nobel Prizes in 23, but of whom we can welcome at our annual summit. Professor Rune and Prof. Katalin Karikó are the most outstanding researchers in their field. Yes. Yes. So, Professor Rune has greatly contributed to the development of the fields of laser physics, which laid the foundation for the operation of the Laser Center here in Szeged. The results of Professor Katalin Karikó's decades-long research work laid the foundation for the development of mRNA-based vaccine that enabled the containment of the COVID epidemic. We would like to thank you, both of you, for accepting the invitation and for inspiring our students and academic staff of the Alliance to continue the work at a high level. I do believe those researchers not only completely parallel with our goals and visions, and what's more, they will be mentioned among the most important Nobel Prizes in the first decades of this century, because they will be the basis of groundbreaking new technologies, for example, in the field of medicine. This high-level excellence work should characterize the joint activities of the Alliance. It is the basis for the creation of common European higher education space for which we work together. This is our common vision, and the academic community, staff, and all enthusiastic students of the 9 allied universities have been working to create a consolidate for years. I would like to close this opening speech with this thought, and I wish all participants a very useful meeting, the strengthening of existing friendships and birth of new friendships, and that you enjoy the opportunities offered by our beautiful university and our city, Szeged. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Professor Rovó. We ask Professor Dagrun Olsen, President of the EUGLOH and Rector of UiT, the Arctic University of Norway, to give his speech.
Excellencies, ambassadors, dear Nobel laureates, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, but perhaps above all, their students. On behalf of EUGLOH, I'm happy to state that we are more than thrilled of being here in Szeged. And thank you, Dr. Rovó, for hosting us here at this event, an important event for EUGLOH in such beautiful surroundings. The city, but also in this magnificent aula. Let's take a moment and remember what these university alliances more or less is all about. And I think it's fair to say that our idea originated or came from a speech that President Macron gave at Sorbonne University 2017. He talked about a vision for universities in Europe which envisaged the same freedoms within universities or amongst universities and across universities as within EU. The freedom of movement. We are talking about the freedom of movement of ideas, thoughts, of staff, students, but also the collective use of infrastructure. And I think that is what also EUGLOH adheres to. That is our overall ambition. We will discuss that in the governing board today, and I'm sure that EUGLOH will discuss how we should evolve along these lines in the years to come. in order to fulfill their overarching ideas and goals of these alliances. When it was established, the Commission needed to find an instrument, obviously, to develop these university alliance ideas. And how appropriate, wasn't it, that the Erasmus program could be used, not only because it's a financial instrument that exists, but also because it's so inspired by Erasmus of Rotterdam, that had as its basic philosophical idea that bring people together to share ideas, to discuss, and reach new insight. One of the most influential European philosophers, of which the program is named after. How appropriate, isn't it? Our theme is global health, and the participating institutions held this idea of global health very, very high. We invest a lot in medical education, in healthcare, professional educations, and research. But we also think that understanding these issues in a global context is important. Yes, it is about an aging population. It is about pandemics. It's about health economy and sustainable healthcare systems globally, but based on the research, education, collaborative efforts that we do in Europe. And of course, that will not be less important in the years to come. But let me finish off by stating that this is a platform for us. It is a platform where we can showcase how we can collaborate across the various universities in line with the idea that was launched by Macron in 2017, but not limited to global health. I'm thrilled to see that there are so many other disciplines that also take an interest at our universities in this collaboration. Later today, we will hear from the musical students at the university, and of course, named proudly after Bela Bartok, one of the most influential musicians, or composers rather, in Europe. And I know that we brought some of our musical students to this event. They will meet. I'm sure that will be students between law faculties and public sector administration and things like that that can meet, and we can foster future collaboration in a much broader sense. And we do this not because of people on the stage and in the front row. We do this for the young generation, you, the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Olsen. We ask Professor Sandrine Lacombe, Professor of the Université Paris-Saclay and Coordinator of the EUGLOH, to give her speech.
Good morning, everyone. This is really a great honor for me to represent the Alliance, EUGLOH, for Global Health. I want to thank Professor Rovó and the University of Szeged to welcome the annual summit of the year 2024. So you have in front of you two rectors who strongly believe in the exchange inter-campuses, inter-universities, to make Europe stronger and better. I want also to introduce my colleagues who are currently in the room and who represent other universities. I want to mention Professor Pera de Souza, Rector of the University of Porto. Next, I want to introduce, of course, my dear colleague and friend, Vice Rector of International Affairs of the University Ludwig Maximilian of Munich, Francesca. And in the front, of course, the former president of the Alliance and representative Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Lund, Lena. And I'm sure they are in the room, but I don't see them. Probably there is somewhere. Where are they? Yes, here. Sorry. My dear colleagues from also Porto University, Joanna is here. Catherine? Okay, Catherine, you're hiding yourself. Catherine is here. Maybe the rector of the University of Novi Sad would be somewhere. Or Torija is here. Yes, yeah. Representative of Novi Sad University. So I think you all understood that this is all about Europe, from the north to the south, from the west to the east. And this is what we are going to do and to build, something really new, something really innovative. So what was about this initiative? Just to remind you few keywords that the European Commission gave us as duties and that we want to follow as objectives. This is, of course, to improve the competitiveness of Europe. And this is something, of course, which is a duty of all universities because of the current geopolitics situation that we face today. And this is what we intend to do in the next years, coming years. This is, of course, to promote the European values and an identity, and definitely to build the generation of the citizens of tomorrow who should understand, who should cope with the European values and the identity we offer them to face. So now I'm asking, who is a student in this room? So this is all about, and of course, I have also two more here. Students is the key word of this alliance, and we should never forget this. So this initiative, maybe this is a word for the rectors, is definitely a project to transform our institutions. This is what the European Commission is expecting from us. And here you have examples of rectors and universities who cope with this objective. And believe me, to transform a university coming from Paris-Saclay, we know what that means. It's difficult, but this is plenty of new ideas and creativity. And we're so happy to join this alliance. This initiative, this is also to develop ideas, to develop projects with and for the society. So research, of course, but also together with all the stakeholders of the society, be it stakeholders, industrials, NGOs, and other people from the society, from the territories where these universities are installed. So please, for all the people here who are students or not students of these territories, you should participate in this project. This is only together that we will make this transformation. And of course, today is a special day because we had different annual summit. But to have you, dear Professor Karikó and dear Professor Almilier, I know how much you care about students. I don't know how you do, by the way, because during your days as being Nobel Prize awardees, research, so teaching, is a duty we have to face. There is no research without transfer to new generation. And there is, of course, no education without research and creativity. So I thank you very much to be here today and to be, of course, the symbol and the models, not only of excellence science, but also to be the model of women in science that we need definitely also to carry together. So this is a great honor for me again to be participating in this annual summit. Of course, to lead this university, this alliance, and I wish you all a great annual summit ceremony, which I believe is going to be really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Lacombe. Now we are going to listen to the keynote speeches of the event. I kindly ask Professor Márta Szél, Vice Rector for Strategic Planning of the University of Szeged, to introduce the keynote speakers.
I would like to extend a warm welcome to our guests. In the following, you will hear 4 truly inspiring presentations, which will be followed by a roundtable discussion. The first presenter is María Pilar Moracho Torija, President of the Student Board of the University of Alcalá. María Pilar Moracho Torija is a final year bachelor student of Modern Languages and Translation at the University of Alcalá. She holds an introductory research grant at the UAH about theoretical linguistics. Besides, Pilar is the president of Alcala's local student board and represents the students of this university at the International Student Board. She has been involved in EUGLOH since March 2023. She has also been active in other students' representation bodies for 3 years now, currently holding the Vice Presidency of International Relations at the Students' Council of the University of Alcalá. I kindly ask María Pilar Moracho Torija to share her success story within EUGLOH. Please.
Dear Rector of the University of Szeged, dear President of EUGLOH, dear Coordinator of our Alliance, dear Nobel Prize laureates, dear members of our European University Alliance for Global Health, dear students, welcome everyone to this annual summit. In this short presentation, we're going to explain a little bit how we can create gathering places to encourage and promote active and student participation. So our statement is try to find different internal and external initiatives where students can feel supported and can feel encouraged to participate and represent their colleagues in the different universities and in our alliance. For this purpose, I'm going to focus on one point in an internal initiative within our alliance, which are the EUGLOH road trips, and on the other hand, I'm going to explain an external event that the European Student Union organized last year. So first of all, regarding the EUGLOH road trips, it is an initiative that is part of work package number 5 that concentrates on campus life, on university life. So what students can do in this activity is to travel for a short period, in a short trip term, to visit different universities, part of our alliance. So the main purpose of the first edition was try to understand how the different universities work, their different particularities. So in a way to understand indeed our alliance, our European University Alliance for Global Health. So last year, the University of Hamburg and the University of Alcalá had the pleasure to end this first edition. And talking about the case of the University of Alcalá, I had the pleasure to be one of the members of the organizing committee together with my colleagues at the local student board at the University of Alcalá, but also collaborating with the student council of the university, because it is the highest student representation body within our university. So we wanted to establish a connection with a body which has 30 years of history. And we consider that the main goal of this initiative would be creating a sense of community while we were together in space in our historical campus, that is a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO. So we established different activities, especially related to the student representation structure, in a way to understand, on the one hand, how the different universities, how the different students organize themselves with the different unions, delegations, student councils inside the different universities, but also, on the other hand, talking about the alliance, how the different local student boards are organized, because maybe it is not the same structure here at the University of Szeged or at the University of Paris-Saclay or in Alcalá. So after this part of organizing and structuring the different student representations, we talked about external representation, try to find those structures, but in a national way, how this works in our countries, and after that, in a European and international level with the European Student Union. We also talk a little bit about quality assurance, try to understand in a way how the structures are actually now in country level, but how this is going to be achieved in our alliances, in an internal and external way, try to have a quality assurance for the future European degrees. And we also try to cover different interdisciplinary topics related to sustainability, equality, and diversity, while we were doing different tourism related to the city of Alcalá de Henares. So the main idea after this is that the different participants realized and highlighted the importance of being together to be together in a place where we can share our best practices and negotiate to reach agreements and understand in a way how we can implement our structures and how we can implement, for instance, a solution for sustainability that a university can do in another one, or how we can actually improve this in our alliance. So this is related to an initiative inside EUGLOH, and now I'm going to explain a little bit the first conference for student representatives for the European University Alliances that the European Student Union organized last year at the University of Coimbra. So the main point of view of the European Student Union is to embrace 45 national unions of students from different 40 countries in a way to defend an inclusive, democratic, and open education. So they considered the importance of establishing a new event where different student representatives can feel together and feel empowered to share best practices in the point of our European University Alliances. So they considered the importance of 4 different themes: social dimension, mobility, quality assurance, and democratic representation. First of all, related to the social dimension, they defend, in a way, different panels to understand how the different alliances organize different social rights. For instance, we understand that in countries such as in Poland or Italy, they defend peer-to-peer assistance or different linguistic diversity in a way to do not discriminate minority languages as to feel as important as the big ones, such as English, French, or German. In other countries, such as in Germany, they defend the idea of unisex toilets or safe spaces as in a way that students can feel engaged, but also be studying in a place where they can access actually the buildings. And then we covered the idea of the quality assurance, trying to establish a connection, as I have mentioned before, between the internal and external way, always considering the voice of students. The third point was the democratic representation, to feel empowered, organized, and doing an organization helped by students to increase fellowship, mobility, and these different points, and especially to find legitimate representatives, so as not only find different associations for different points and different things, but also how students can feel engaged and organized to create different bodies and to defend students' rights. And lastly, mobility tries to understand points related to problems that we are facing now at the European Union, related to scholarships and grants, try to travel to different places to do a blended intensive program, to do a short-term trip, or do an Erasmus during a semester or during a whole academic course. So try to find different grants and scholarships that can be implemented by the European Union. After all, this idea tries to cover the importance of the voice of our students, that is, in a way, our greatest heritage, and as our coordinator of our alliance has mentioned before, it is important to consider and always embrace a student's voice to be as important as the other collectives inside our universities and inside our alliance, to feel as important every collective as it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, María. The next success story will be presented by Florabelle Cabarrubias, President of the Student Board of the University of Szeged. Florabelle Cabarrubias is currently pursuing a PhD in biology at the University of Szeged. Originally from the Philippines, she came to Hungary through the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship. Her research covers the fields of microbiology and immunology. Florabelle has been a member of EUGLOH since September 2022. She was elected president of the local student board in July last year and has been working closely with the EUGLOH staff since the
So good morning, everyone. Again, I am Florabelle. To my dear EUGLOH community, to the university officials, to the Nobel laureates, to students, professors, and guests, thank you all for being here today. So just a side note, I was actually on this same stage last year talking about EUGLOH to students who had no idea what EUGLOH is. But this year, it is really a privilege for me to be here again, not just to talk about EUGLOH, but also to speak finally to the EUGLOH community and all our associated partners. When I was actually told that I would be one of the keynote speakers, I don't know really what to talk about. but I am really fortunate, and maybe it's just the support of the staff here and the entire EUGLOH Alliance that I will be here today. And I was just thinking that the opportunity to be here wouldn't have come my way if there is no one who believe in me. And that is actually a segue to my keynote speech today, that in EUGLOH, it is a platform to elevate students' potential. So now I will speak to you not just as a student, but also as someone who has been given the opportunity not just to be heard, but also to be seen in this alliance. So my message first is directed to the students. You have a lot of potential, and that is just a reminder, because sometimes we get discouraged that maybe we are not doing enough, but you have a lot of potential. You have a voice that encourages these younger people, the younger generation, and you also have this courage to empower our fellow students. And I believe that as a human, we have the tendency to listen to people that can relate to us the most, or that who we relate to the most. And I can say that to empower students, there must be a student voice. And to be honest, I only discovered EUGLOH 2 years ago. There was a flag of EUGLOH in front of a booth in the rector's building. And I was so shy, actually, because I'm an introvert, and even standing here today, I'm a bit nervous, but thank you so much for this opportunity. And when I go to that booth, I ask them, what is EUGLOH? What is it about? And what is it for? And what do we offer here? And these two students, I can't even remember who they were, but they took the time and initiative to talk about EUGLOH to me, about the entire alliance. And that's when I get to know the essence of the EUGLOH. Which brings me to my first point. As a student, maybe we just have to take that extra step to that booth, to that flag of EUGLOH in your university, and ask the members there, what is EUGLOH? Because I can tell you that there are so many opportunities that you can get once you get into the EUGLOH. And I can say that in this year's annual summit theme, All Roads Lead to EUGLOH is actually bringing us the goal of the entire alliance, which is to bring to build the European campus for global health. And this means that we are all on a journey together. And it requires all 9 institutions to be together, and although we have different starting point, we will all be leading to EUGLOH. And now we can say that EUGLOH, we will build the European campus for global health, one student at a time. And yeah, because what I can say is that every student who walked into this path, they will get introduced to the EUGLOH, and they will get the opportunity to elevate their potential. And that's because my second point is that we need the support of the staff. And that is already what we are getting. And that is already important because in EUGLOH, we can be sure that we have the support of the staff. And since joining EUGLOH, I can just testify that I've had the privilege of participating not just in the EUGLOH courses, but also in the workshops, also in the conferences. And in this opportunity, I was able to enrich my knowledge and also expand my network. And I'm so happy, actually, that I can see a lot of familiar faces here today. And I guess it's a successful initiative from EUGLOH that at least I was able to network a lot of you here and willing to network more after this. And, yeah, and moreover, EUGLOH has given me this confidence, the trust on my abilities, and to push forward, to push beyond my comfort zone. And especially the EUGLOH community here in Szeged, they always had my back and they always support me. And they welcomed me very pleasantly when I took the presidency, and it wasn't so hard to really integrate into the EUGLOH. And that is why this is my second point and the general message to everyone in this room as I end my speech, that if you are given a platform to believe in someone's potential, whether by amplifying their voices, supporting their initiatives, or simply just giving them guidance and encouragement, and also helping them to recognize their strengths and their potential and the opportunities around them, then please do so, because you are not just creating this ripple, but when you do that, you are creating a collective impact, not just to them, but also a huge wave through the students. So I encourage everyone, if you have that opportunity, you have that platform, as a professor, as someone who's in the higher authority, please support the students, because students have a huge potential, and I am a living proof of that. And thank you so much to everyone, and that's the end of my speech.
Thank you, Florabelle. I'm honored to announce that our next presenter is the Nobel Prize laureate Katalin Karikó, professor of the University of Szeged. Katalin Karikó is a Hungarian-American biochemist, graduated at the József Attila University in Szeged in 1978. She's specialized in ribonucleic acid-mediated mechanisms, particularly in vitro transcribed messenger RNA for protein replacement therapy. Katalin Karikó laid the scientific groundwork for mRNA vaccines, overcoming major obstacles and skepticism in the scientific community. The mRNA-based vaccines greatly contributed to the successful battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. Katalin Karikó received the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 2023 for her work, along with the American immunologist Drew Weissman. Katalin Karikó is a research professor of the University of Szeged since 2021, and she's the full professor of the University of Szeged since June 2024. I kindly ask Professor Katalin Karikó to deliver her presentation.
why we are setting up. I am telling everybody here that, I am so happy to be here. I was just coming from Zurich, where I received the Paul Karrer Award. And Paul Karrer received the Nobel Prize in 1937 together with St. Georgi. For Paul Karrer for vitamin A and B, and we need the C, so that St. Georgi received for the isolating vitamin C. So today I was not talking about RNA or vitamins. I was just thought that, you know, here will be everybody's students, and I can see there are some forever young one here, and so I can just talk about a little bit my life, and let's start this, so I won't go longer than 20 minutes. So just some lesson which I learned, because I was here 51 years ago as a high school student, tried to take my entry exam, just as nervous as Florabelle said, you know, that, so, yes. And through my example, you know, what my life experience, I just want to say that, oops. Okay, so I grew up here in Hungary in a very simple family. My parents had just elementary school education, just saying that to be a scientist, you don't need your parents to be a professors, you know, is sufficient. My father was butcher, and many times I mentioned I learned from my parents, you know, that how hard work is part of life and how to make sausage. And as an elementary school student, I was competing in geography and chemistry and biology competitions. And it is because thanks to the wonderful teachers in school. And as a result of it, I was at age 14, I was the third best in Hungary in biology. And I also participated in '68 in a camp for those young biologists. And I have to say that maybe we should have here elementary school students, because you know, that is me here. And here is all of these girls eventually turn out to be a professional scientist. Susan became a physician. Eva is a chemist. Agnes is a biologist with me. So at age 13, these girls already knew they wanted to do something and want to be somebody. And thanks to my, you know, I grew up in a very small town, 10,000 people. We had this beautiful high school and wonderful teachers, so I learned from them. And it was, they presented many experiments, and it was very important to learn. And the university here organized for students, underprivileged students, middle of July for 2 weeks, special program. So if somebody wanted to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and then go to and solve a physics problem, mathematics problem, you know, that, and we could come to the buildings. And, you know, so first time in my life I could see a professor, and it was wonderful because, you know, when I was here 51 years ago to take the exam, that the entry exam, I was not as nervous seeing first here in Szeged. So I can encourage the students, you know, to think about the next generation and help the high school student to get acknowledged and know the university. So I came here is not because St. Georgi once worked here, I knew about this, but the reason was because I learned that this biological research center was just opening 1973, exactly when I was, you know, entered to the university. And my dream was to work at this institution. So as a student already, I was trying to get a position somewhere. You know, at that time, mostly genetics was important and plant. I love plants. But the only place I could get is a lipid team, and which, like, you know, grease stuff is not really that exciting, but that very early on I already learned that what I learned in high school, that, you know, the membrane is layers of lipid and protein was not true because this new model, fluid mosaic model, was just introduced. So there were some novelty there in the lipid field. And when Tibor Farkas, I asked him to spend the summer in the lab, he told me that, Kati, rest of your life you can be at the bench. You know, at that point I didn't know that at age 58 I am still doing the experiment with my hands because I never get funding. But anyway, so he said that, oh, just go to the field trip and go to this fishery institute and collect some fat from fish, you know, which was fed with different chow material. I don't talk about this because I don't know whether from the farm industry for somebody here. Anyway, the important thing is he also asked me to collect some water fleas. Yeah, so you know that you can have a dream, student up there, you know, that the genetics and something, and finally you are chasing these water fleas in a pond. But what is important is that you learn, and you have to, no job is a little job. You know, you can learn from this creature. Actually, my first paper came out from this, collecting these animals and checking out their lipid content and other things. But finally, you know, when the summer was over, went back to this lipid lab, and there was, you know, Ernő Duda and Eva Kondorosi, who's here with us today. And then, you know, they wanted to make a liposome, and they came to the lipid team because they needed a special phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylethanolamine fraction. But, you know, thinking about, we were behind the Iron Curtain, and every time, you know, when the country has a sanction, I always think about the scientists there. And so it is, I was very grateful when I was, you know, working also as a scientist later on, that scientist is international. So they sent us reprints when we asked, you know, and they were very generous. And so thanks all of those all over the world who did have those who were sanctioned, because the scientists, you know, were just interested and they want to do something. So what happened? Ernő figured out, you know, that we cannot buy this for a couple of Deutschmark, this lipid fraction, so ask, you know, us to synthesize or isolate. And at that time, the PI, you know, jump on the bicycle, go to the slaughterhouse. There was a paper how to isolate these phospholipids from cow brain. And he came back from a bucket of cow brain, and we started the experiment. So that point was very handy, that my father was butcher. I was not Guish to work with such material. And so we spent like a week extracting with organic solvent, chloroform, and ether, and so on, without, you know, fume hue. That time, you know, you just open the window. That's how we worked. And we did this liposome because Eva and Ernő wanted to deliver nucleic acid to the cells. And I did participate in this study, and it is very important, you know, that you make your hands wet and start to do some kind of experiment. So for me, it is very important that I started there in the lipid lab, where I wouldn't, by choice, wouldn't go. But in my life, if I look at back, if things would happen how I wish, I wouldn't be here today. So sometimes it's not bad if, you know, you get difficulties. So what happened one day when I was in the lipid lab, Jenő Thomas walked in, and he invited me, you know, to his RNA lab. I am not a visionary. I don't have any special skills, you know. You could see that it was by chance. It is easy, you know, looking back, as Steve Jobs said, you know, connecting the dots, that it was important to work with lipids and then with RNA, and because one day it will be important. So I didn't know that. I again just went with the flow and worked together with colleagues. But here is the first time when I lost my job at the institution and ended up in the United States, where I never wanted to go. It is so far away, but that was the only place I could get. And this was the lab. If you read my book, you know that, and no window lab, low budget. You can see no lab coat, nothing. And so we started to make different kind of small molecules, similar what we did here, which had antiviral effect. And but we couldn't make it usable for patients because we needed an antiviral compound in 1986. The major problem was HIV. But eventually we synthesized double-stranded RNA and treated the patient with that, tried to induce their interferon system. So far I talk all of this RNA, which was not mRNA, but I always work with RNA. And one day when I applied for a job at University of Pennsylvania, Elliot Barnett, a colleague, a cardiologist, he hired me. He was interested in urokinase receptor. And since he was just a couple of days younger than me, I could convince him that mRNA is the future, and he supported me. And I got a faculty position, so expected that I will soon get funding and get my own lab. So he waited for 7 years, supported my salary. I never get any money. But we had fun, and it was interesting because this molecule was just only functional when all of this decoration, sugar and other things were on it, and we knew that the cell could do it. And so that was, we knew that it will be useful one day for something. And there in Elliot lab, I met David Langer, a medical student, and if they are here, or if you have in your lab, you know that they are the one that they know everything. So, but suggesting to you be nice to them, because when I lost the job at, working with Elliot, because he left the university, Elliot, so came David Langer, and he made sure that this corner, you see there, that laboratory was my place for 17 years. And you can see again, the budget was low, no lab coat, no safety glasses, and so on. Anyway, so you can learn that you have to be nice to fellow colleagues, no matter what, the flow, you just dig in and try to make the best out of it. And so I was thinking, because if you look at my career, it was like, first I have to leave Hungary, and then in the United States, I didn't went to details, but at Temple University, I was also terminated, not because I was bad, but the professor wanted to make sure that I stayed there. So when it turned out that I had another job offer, he got very upset and subjected me for deportation, but somehow I get around that, ended up University of Pennsylvania, where I was faculty, but lack of funding, I was demoted, so you could see my career went just down, down, down. And and ended up that here, after 17 years in this laboratory, one day just, throw all my stuff out to the hallway, and I was terminated there. That was 10 years before getting Nobel Prize, so, but don't expect that if you are terminated, something coming on the way. Because yes, I put a lot of work, but I learned things during this process, and one of the things I could tell you that how I can see is that there is a research, and then you are discovering something, you are young, restless, and then you get the result published because you have to say something, publication, you try to write a grant proposal, hopefully the money is coming, and then, you realize that more people needed more money, more, and then you are promotion and awards, and now in a team you have graduate students, they need a publication, and somehow there is a shift. Now that the goal is somehow, this career building, and then it is the tool to publish, to do the research to get there. And many of the time, now the PI realizing they are just a manager to make sure the money is coming in, that the student is taken care of, and all of these things. So what I realized is that really in the early century, just like me, I focus on try to see that, what is in nature and to understand nature. And the 21st century up there, and your colleagues, they really, you want to figure out, how to publish your paper in Nature, yeah? So I was asked, you know, so I am still stayed with the 19th century person, you know, that's what I was focusing, but that was not good for the career. And so I was thinking, you know, I was asked, what is success? And everybody is defined differently, what success is, you know. Churchill said that, you know, going from one failure to the other with the same enthusiasm when you even terminated. And others said that you have to come out from your comfort zone. And Albert Barabbas, you know, László, he told me, Kati, is nothing to do, you know, success with you. You did something and then how people perceive. You are successful if you have 25 different languages is your Wikipedia. Okay. So that's what he told me, and I was relaxed immediately that no, I have nothing to do with it. And today, you know, this morning actually I received this picture on the right, a bottle they found that it is my handwriting, an RNA buffer. So I mentioned 10 years ago they throw out everything, even without my presence from the laboratory, and now that sometimes some gem show up in another places, and now they, you know, very special place now, and encouraging the students, you know, that I did all of the buffer myself, of course, you know, I defrosted the freezer and cleaned the lab and other things. And other successes, you know, that from the university, employees went up to the attic of our house and, you know, dig out all of my books and what I have in elementary school. So this is sorting out here, you know. So that's what I thought maybe success is. But I want to give you some advice and what helped me to go through difficulties, and above all, you know, not many pictures were taken in my lab. You know, I was by myself and there were no selfie that time, yeah? Because, and so, but whatever, as these one or two pictures, you know, I was smiling because I was happy. You have to love your work, what you are doing. And you stay modest, you know, because, you know, not always what you see is what is in behind. For me, it was very important that early on I read János Seje book about how to handle stress. And again, I wouldn't be here today if I don't learn that, you know, he coined the words in the 1930s, you know, the stress. For the human feeling. Prior to that, it was in physics, but you guys don't remember that, but that's what the stress is. He had also a low budget, so he had a rat and chased with a broom around his office, and he showed that the brain can be damaged from stress, and he demonstrated that it can kill. But he also said that you need positive stress, so, you know, this morning everybody got up and we are coming here, and, you know, anticipation, excitement, we need that. And, but you have to learn the negative to change it to positive, and it takes time. And the important thing, and also the Stoics said, you have to always focus on what you can do. Because you get frustrated that, you know, they should, you know, the committee should accept my publication, my grant, my wife should do that, my husband, you know, the neighbor should be quiet. You always want somebody else to do something. But you have to ask what you should do, and that's what was important, what I learned from here. And yeah, you have to believe in yourself. You know, growing up in this very simple household, in one room we lived when I was up to 10 years old, and you know, everything seems simple, and you have to see that there will be difficulties there, and this is as long as you believe in yourself, that with hard work you can reach your goals, you know, you are fine, and your dream could come through. And of course, I mentioned already that you have to come out your comfort zone, and you know, learning and going away and might be difficult, but there is how you can learn and proceed. And finally, today I have to say something why I usually say something about the public, about our field, because mostly discoveries are coming from academia, then biotechnologies are established, they discovering some new technology may be applicable for something, and when they run out of money or they don't have enough, then large companies come run the clinical trial, and we thought that FDA approval is when it is done, then it is done and is final. But we realized that we need to educate the public, because the society has to accept when we have some kind of new biotechnology. And for that one, we have to explain. And, we scientists, I like to talk to other scientists, rather than somebody who would not understand those words, so come up with different analogy. And, it is tiring. But we have to do that. Every scientist, the young one, the forever young one, has to do it. Because what happened is this public engagement is important. It is well demonstrated, that those who knew the less, they are the more confident about their knowledge. And then they, during the pandemic, they had time to go to the studios, and they could say different things, which was not really true. And, there are a big group of scientists, so-called scientists, educated in immunology at Facebook and internet, and they usually present a lot of false things. But actually nothing new under the, because here 100 years ago, when the typhoid vaccine was introduced, it was already published that the people not appreciate that they didn't get the disease because they get the vaccine, rather for even months and months later they get any kind of pain or ache or whatever, they blame on that vaccine. You heard about that some people, pregnancy and other things was blamed on the vaccine. But what I am today, talking to the public, why I mentioned is important, and inspire the new generation. Many of these books is written by other people about me, that, that how I did my research, and I wrote myself a book about, telling a lot of advice to the students and to any person, that about what to do when, you are very angry, and how you can calm down, and how never retaliate, whether always be grateful, even when you are very upset and you are ready some revenge. Forget it, it will hit you back, and then it will escalate, and don't do that. So that many good advice I give, so the student might read. As it will be out in 13 languages. Right now is 7 languages is shown here, from Hungarian, Italian, and German, and whatnot. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katalin. It was truly inspirational. After this wonderful presentation, our next exceptional speaker will be Professor Anne Ullier, Nobel Prize laureate of the Lund University. Anne Ullier is a French-Swedish physicist who graduated from the Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris, France. And she's now a professor of atomic physics at the Lund University in Sweden. Her experimental and theoretical research focuses on high-order harmonic generation in gases and its applications, particularly in attosecond science. Professor Ullier became a member of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences in 2004. She has received various physics awards, including the Wolf Prize in Physics in 2022 and the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2023. I ask Professor Anne Ullier to deliver her keynote speech.
Okay, good morning. This talk is about why I got the Nobel Prize in Physics for, but I thought I'm going to, so this afternoon I will give a lecture to high school students. Tomorrow I will give a Nobel lecture at Eli Alps. So I think I would talk about something a bit different, which is how 5 universities influenced my career. And these 5 universities are here. This is the Université Paris-Saclay, and in particular, Commissariat Énergie Atomique, Lund University, of course, the LMU, and its Max Planck Institute for Quantum Optics, University of Szeged, and especially Eli Alps, and University of Porto. And this is the name of a spin-off company, Sphere Ultrafast Photonics. I hope you see the connection with EUGLOH. So this is a little bit chronological order, how these 5 universities influenced my career. And of course, I start by University of Paris-Saclay. This is my alma mater. It says that I am graduated at Université Paris 6, which is true, but my research was done at the Commissariat à l'Énergie Atomique in Saclay, which is now part of Université Paris-Saclay. So I started my PhD in the beginning of the 80s. The subject was atoms in strong laser fields. At the end of my PhD, or almost afterwards, I had the chance to be offered a permanent position at Saclay. I became research engineer at Commissariat à l'Énergie Atomique. And almost immediately, after I defended my thesis, we performed an experiment that was going to affect my whole career, which I'm going to show it to you now. And the idea was the following. We were studying the behavior of atoms in strong laser field. This was my thesis work. And now we had the idea to look at the light emitted by these atoms. These atoms are ionized, excited by the laser field. They should emit radiation. And we thought that these atoms would emit fluorescence light. So we set up an experiment, which is shown here, where we focus an intense laser into a gas of atom, and we look using optics, using a grating. If you don't know what is a grating, like a prism, so that we can separate the different light components, and then we have a detector. I'm showing some picture of first the laser that we used in Saclay, which look like that. It looks very old-fashioned for people that deal with laser nowadays. But give you a little bit the size. It's about the size of this table. And this is the experiment that we set up. Also looks very old-fashioned. I'm not going to give detail. If you are interested, you can come tomorrow at the Nobel lecture. What did we see? We did not see fluorescence light, and this is really a scientific discovery. We saw something else, and this was extremely exciting, was not expected, and very, very exciting. And as I say, I mean, this is why I'm here today. So what we saw is the generation of high-order harmonics of the laser light. You have here one of the first spectra showing these high-order harmonics. The numbers that you see are the integer multiplying the laser frequency. So like 13 here means that we see the 13th harmonic of the laser light. And if you don't know what this is, this sounds very abstract. I'm sure that maybe you play music, or you know someone that plays music. This is very similar to the harmonics that you get when one plays violin, for example. You play a certain note. What you hear is not what you get, is not really exactly this frequency. You get also harmonics of this tone. And this is what makes the klang of music instruments. So in both cases, you have a strong interaction in the music case between the string on a violin and the bow, and in our case, between atoms and an intense laser field, leading to the emission of these high-order harmonics. Of course, in one case, we are talking about harmonics of sound. In the other case, we are talking about harmonics of light. What was very interesting about these harmonics was that suddenly it was the idea that we could create extremely short light pulses using beating between these harmonics. And here is the idea. Let's consider 3 harmonics, 17, 19, 21. If these harmonics are, it's called phase-locked, this is a little bit technical, which means that the maxima of these harmonics happen at the same time. I'm trying to go into, for example, here you have the maxima at the same time, minima at the same time, maxima at the same time, etc. If you add these 3 waves, we obtain a train here, a sequence of short light pulses. You can represent the intensity, you get these pulses of light, and the duration of this pulse is extremely short. So there's really a new time scale which was suddenly available, this attosecond time scale. This is, if you have even more harmonics, you can really get very short time scale. So this discovery really affected my whole life, I would like to say, because I decided to really work on it, to understand it, to do more experiments, and then how can we measure attosecond pulses? I mean, and I'm still working on the same thing 40 years after the discovery, which was always a kind of a surprise for the young people. How can I work on the same thing during 40 years? But it's about persistence. Now I'm coming to Lund University. Lund University, really, my connection to Lund University started by a European collaboration. And I would like to stress the importance of collaboration within Europe, and with everyone, I would like to say, collaborations. And now we are in 1992. This is a picture of me and my 2 first PhD students in France many years ago, and building a dedicated instrument to study these high-order harmonics. You see the size of this instrument. And in Sweden, you have 3 scientists that you see here that are building a new laser. They use progress in laser technology at the time to build a laser prototype. And this laser is based on titanium sapphire. Now I'm a bit technical, but this is going to be the most important laser technology for this field of research during 20 years afterwards. So they build this laser, and we talk to each other, and they say, oh, could you bring your instrument to Lund so we can do a collaboration and try to study these harmonics with this laser. And this is what we did. So it led to very interesting experimental results. 2 years afterwards, I came back to Lund to actually share my life with this man that you see here. So this is the result of some European collaboration sometime. And a few years afterwards, in 95, I actually got an associate professor position, in 97 a professor position. And I would like this transition period between 92 and 97 was actually a tough period. I was really commuting between the 2 countries, and I would like to thank both Saclay and Lund University to make this possible and to allow me to continue my research in this field through this a bit difficult period. Yes, now I'm coming to 3, Munich. and the Ludwig Maximilian University, and especially Max Planck Institute for Quantum Optics. Maybe this is the weakest point of this story, but of course, this is a very important university and institute for attosecond science, because this is where my co-laureate Ferencross is a professor. I actually do have a European collaboration with another actually Nobel Prize laureate in physics, Theodor Hensch, that you see here in '98. And this was a very important experiment that we performed, really led to better understanding of these high-order harmonics. And it was really an important experiment on the way to the measurement of attosecond pulse. And so it's what you see on this picture is actually my first PhD student in Lund. She's from Denmark, Mette Gaarder, and Theodor Hensch, coming from LMU, and Marco Bellini from the Lenz Institute in Florence. So it's really a European collaboration, supported by European instruments that have been very, very important in my research. And this is myself. And the idea of these experiments is to look at the coherence, to see if this radiation, this high-order harmonics, is coherent. And to see, which means you have a well-defined phase relationship. These are nice waves, if you want. And to check whether this light is coherent, what we do is we create two sources of these harmonics, and we look at the radiation far away, and we see whether we see interference. And indeed, you see on this plot that, yes, we saw interference. And that means that this is coherent lights. Again, this was an important result on the way to attosecond pulses. Part 4, University of Szeged. University of Szeged collaboration, and why this university is important in my career, it's really through a postdoc from Szeged University. I think I saw her, she is here, Katalin, and she's now science director of Eli Alps. She came to Lund in 2003 to 2005, also supported by the European Union, by a Marie Curie fellowship. I looked at my list of publication yesterday, and we have 28 articles together. So it's not 28 articles during these 3 years. It's, of course, the collaboration has continued afterwards. So this, at the time where in Lund we were really measuring attosecond pulse, was the beginning of attosecond physics. So it was extremely exciting period. So this led to a continuous collaboration and to participation from Lund University to a construction of one beamline of Eli Alps that you see here. So now this is a huge beamline. It's about 40-meter footprint that you have. This was actually quite long project, started in 2012. It was completed just a few weeks before the announcement of the Nobel Prize, so it was very nice, in 2023. And this beamline is now starting to produce results. Just very quickly, I'm showing here again one of these high harmonic spectra, similar to what you have seen at the beginning, but of course in different conditions, in different gases. Part 5, University of Porto. And University of Porto collaboration started again by not a postdoc coming to Lund, by a PhD student coming to Lund University. Miguel Miranda decided he wanted to, he actually got some funding from the Portuguese Science Foundation to do a PhD, part-time at Porto University and part-time at Lund University, and actually got a double degree both at Lund and Porto University in 2012. And they stayed in Lund from 2007 to 2012. 19, after a PhD, we decided, oh, this guy is too good to let him go. So he actually became first postdoc and then research engineer in Lund. In 2019, he decided that it was too cold in Sweden, so he wanted to go back to Porto, which he did. But anyway, what happened is that in 2011, Miguel Miranda invented a new instrument to characterize short laser pulse. He was extremely creative, and he invented a new method. Of course, we patented the method thanks to Porto University, and we created a spin-off company together with our colleagues in Porto. The name of this company is Sphere Ultrafast Photonic, was founded in 2013, and it has passed the 10-year difficult period because it's still alive and actually growing, has about 10 employees. And this company is making, since the first patent, we have several patents together, we collaborate with each other. We are building instruments to characterize short laser pulse. And this collaboration has been funded by proof of concepts grants of the European Research Council, also recently European Innovation Council. This is one of these instruments. It's about this side. It's a box like this, and you put your laser in front of this box and you know what your pulse is. That's the idea. So this is what I wanted to say. I would like to thank these 5 universities for helping my career, and I would like to stress again the importance of moving to the young people here. When you move around, you really progress in your career, and you really learn new things. So I think it's an important. And again, I would like to stress the importance of collaboration. So thank you, these 5 universities. And you see here recent photos of some of the university actually seeing this importance for my career. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Louis, for the uplifting presentation. And now we are moving on to the next point of our agenda, the roundtable talk. The talk will be moderated by Florabelle Cabarrubias and Divyanshi Divyanshi, the President and Vice President of the Student Board of the University of Szeged. So I kindly ask Professor Katalin Karikó, Professor Anne Louis, Florabelle Cabarrubias, Divyanshi Divyanshi to sit around the roundtable.
Please note that all participants will have the chance to engage in the talks and to ask questions. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to signal to the helpers and they will pass the microphone to you. Now we are giving the floor to the participants at the round table.
Sorry, we just had some technical difficulty now. So, good morning, everyone. Again, I am Florabelle.
And I am Divyanshi, and we are thrilled to have you here to have an insightful conversation with 2 remarkable scientists.
So, actually, we will start with no further delay because we have limited time as well. So, Professor Karikó, let me start with you. Could you share with us what inspired you to pursue a career in science, and particularly in the field of the mRNA research.
Before answering that, did you notice that all of the keynote speakers were women? And we didn't talk about, actually, I usually brag and I mention my daughter. I have a daughter, and you have 2 sons. So that, you know, for the female scientists up there, you know, the students, that you don't have to choose between career and family. You see that we could do it, so you can do it. Yeah, that's... So I was just always excited about, you know, science and curious. And I think every children is curious, and wonderful teachers help, you know, to keep up curiosity. And all of my research was driven by that. It was by chance, I told you, just happening and go with the flow. And then that's what I suggested. So I was nothing. All of the research I was doing is curiosity-driven, because if I would have, you know, career-driven, I would give up early on, because I was not really successful on a way that, you know, get any promotion and other awards or any kind of thing.
Thank you for that, Professor Karikó. Professor Ullier, your recent presentation on attosecond physics was fascinating. So my next question is, in your opinion, what are the next big questions that the field of attosecond physics are going to address?
Yeah. I think attosecond physics is still very fundamental. So there is a lot of research to be done. I see that as a beginning of a research field, rather than the end of a, you know, research area. And I think it's great to, here in Szeged, you have this fantastic facility, Eli Labs, really dedicated to attosecond and attosecond research. I think the main challenge of research in attosecond physics is to study electron dynamics. We have, because this is the right time scale that we reach now, thanks to these attosecond pulses. And we have started to do that in a simple system like atoms, but now the big challenge is to extend this type of research to more complex systems in molecules or biomolecules, also in condensed matter. So that's really the next challenge. Yeah. And I think this is important for if you go towards what will be the main application. Hopefully there will be really application important for biology, for medicine. It will be around this control of electron dynamics and in chemical reaction induced by light. So, but again, there is still a lot of research to be made by the young people here.
Thank you for that, Professor Ullier. So you mentioned that we have a lot of room for research in both of your field, I guess. And everyone knows, I think, that when you receive the Nobel Prize, it's with your colleagues. So how important, as you also mentioned earlier, that how important it is the collaboration in your field, considering that maybe it is competitive in this field. Maybe we can start with you, Professor Karikó.
Yeah, so collaboration, as I mentioned, you know, we were quite isolated behind the Iron Curtain at that time, so we did not collaborate that. So you are very lucky that you have this system now, but you know, I worked in the United States for 24 years and last 10 years in Germany, and so we at these different places. I work at universities, but what I realized that the collaboration and working together was, for me, it seemed that for companies was much stronger, because somehow it was, we had to develop something which is very helpful for somebody, because otherwise we can go home because the company is not making a product. And somehow everybody put in the effort, and it was not about first and last author and dividing these competitive things, but more like you know, everybody is working together. But obviously it is very important for even for the industry to collaborate, as we have done, you know, at BioNTech, Pfizer, and Moderna, and all of these companies. So they still helped each other. So working, and it is unbelievable. Just, you know, I go in these days, get some lectures, and when kids will run to me and saying that they were actually from Szeged University, they were here for the Erasmus program or others, and so it was just so wonderful that they can come and the students from here can go somewhere, you know, and experience, and this is just so wonderful. I never experienced myself, but I am lucky, happy for you.
I would like to say that in Atosegen Science, you notice the 3 Nobel laureates are European. So this is a strong, even Pierre Agostini is really performed all his research in France. And I think one of the reasons for the fact that Europe is so strong in this field is that all the community, which was very small in the 80s, 90s, and even beginning of 2000, has been, so we were all meeting together because we were part of these European networks at the beginning of, end of the 90s, beginning of 2000. We were all meeting together twice per year, exchanging ideas, exchanging results. Of course, we were also a little bit competing, but really it's a friendly competition, and it's an open competition. We were exchanging ideas, results, students were moving around, and I think it's, I'm convinced this is the reason why Europe has been so strong in this field, because of this exchange of results and ideas, in this collaboration.
Yes, I totally agree with what you said. So on a more specific note, like in research, you know, there are times when you need to work independently, and there are times when collaboration becomes crucial at some stages. So what can you tell, like from your experience, how did you know that you were ready for collaboration? How can young scientists approach that? Any of you can answer that.
I mean, my answer to that is we are always collaborating. It's almost, I have almost no article where there is no collaboration. So I think collaborate. That's my, yeah.
That's okay.
And do you also have a comment on that, Professor Karikó?
I can say that for me it was important that collaborating, because I always work with colleagues who were different fields. So when I was here at the Biological Research Center, all of my colleagues were organic chemists. So what I found is important that, you know, we have to educate each other. So when I work at the United States, my colleagues went to operate in the, you know, the patient, and they described the problem they had, and I tried to see that what I can do, what they can do, and together, even enough, just 2 persons from 2 different fields can come up with new innovation. And the Drew Weissman, I learned immunology, that what I learned here in the university was not true anymore, because all of the field is advancing. And then, you know, I learned from him, and I told him about mRNA research, and so educating each other and together come up with new invention, new solution is the way.
So it's actually an encouragement to everyone that let's collaborate. And to a more personal question, like I am also a PhD student, and there are times that research can be a bit overwhelming. And how would you encourage the researchers in any field to continue to persevere and to continue to push through despite of the difficulties in our field?
I mean, you know, if you want to be a researcher, you have to realize that you have to be a champion of getting up, knocked down, getting up, because a lot of failure is there, so you have to prepare for that. And as I mentioned, I learned how to handle stress by learning from Shaya. And it was important that I had to take care of always myself, and I can help others. And then telling that don't compare yourself to other fellow students, because you always realize that you are working hard and maybe the other is advancing, and then it stresses you out. You have to always focus on what you can do, and not to burn out, because you can do too many things, and you have to have this homeostasis of your psyche. And you can read about the Stoic, what philosophy was, or you can read Shaya's book or my book, and you can find advice that how you can have very happy life without, getting very upset. And
I think really without talking to each other, we have the same message. I think to me, doing a career in research, it's not to be smart, or it's about to be perseverant. And to go through failures and to continue. And you can do that if you love what you're doing, if you are passionate. So find a subject. I'm talking to the young people. Find a subject that you like, and go for it. And again, be perseverant.
Okay, so following up on that, we all know that research is really, really time demanding. So did you find time to pursue your interest out of research? Because I think so many of us are really concerned about this part, how to make balance between your professional and personal life.
Yes, so that if you love what you are doing, that's your hobby. So you don't need time for hobby. But I always emphasize that physical and mental health, I already said so many times, but physical health is also very important. So that, every day I exercise. When I was 50 years old, I even ran the marathon. 4.5 hours, you can beat that time. And so it is physical health and mental health. And I really, not doing any other things beside, watching on TV some real crime investigation. I like to understand that how they can put together things, and of course Colombo. I watch also that because I like because it's similar to research. You first look at every data and you figure out what could be, and then one data is always out. And then you never ignore that. That's, what Colombo always finding it. So you always have to create a hypothesis that this is fitting in. And so that's what, that's what I'm doing. And then I also cook, but just because, my husband likes the home cooked thing. And those are mostly Hungarian things. In the United States, at the beginning, I cooked other things, but he said that just stay with what we knew well. So that's what.
Well, I also like Colombo. I think I would like to stress again what Katalin said at the beginning. We both combine family and career, so I think it's possible if it's about determination. Of course, you can't have a career in science, a family, and then lots of other hobbies. You need to focus a little bit, but still, it's and this is something I'm trying to say because I met some women saying, "Oh, they had to choose between career and family life." I really strongly disagree. It's again. It doesn't mean that you have to be a little bit focused. I mean, this work require many hours work, but it's still possible. So this is what I would like to encourage.
Thank you so much to both of you. And now we are going to ask the audience if you have any question. Please raise your hand because we will give you the microphone. And if you will be the one selected, then please state your name and your university. So is there anyone who wants to ask a question from them? I can see someone from... Okay.
Hello, both of you. Firstly, I would like to thank both of you for finding time and sharing your knowledge and experience on the behalf of everyone, and especially students. We got to learn a lot from you. I'm Paris. I'm a student representative from University of Hamburg. My question has, I think, mostly been answered from your presentation and the questions that were asked in roundtable. It's about your personal approach towards perseverance. Like you said, it is to love what you do, and happiness is the key to success. And Professor Karikó showed really nicely in her presentation with the comparison of reality and what's imagination. Like, we think the road to our goal is straight, but there are like too many challenges in between. But I want to know, to be where you are, the road is way, way long. So I think the challenges are also more than, I would say, any other normal person who is just pursuing bachelor's and then would like to stop. Your road has been way, way long, and the challenges are more. So what is your personal approach towards perseverance? What are your personal methods that you would like to suggest to stick to the plan, keep going for it? Because sometimes we have expectations as well that we are doing something and it will be easy to do it, that, okay, I'll have, for example, budget for research, but some things are out of our control. So in those situations, how do you keep yourself motivated that I will do this? Because sometimes it can be really, really hard. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, we love Colombo, and Colombo every time asks one more question. And as a scientist, we always have one more question, so it keeps us moving forward to do more experiment. And when I am doing the experiment, you know, I was expecting what the result will be, and immediately what might not be, and what could be the reason, and so it was, you know, it is the curiosity to. I never set it up that, okay, I will make a non-immunogenic RNA. It was just we didn't understand why the RNA was immunogenic, what we used, and then we just ask a question, and then you get an answer, and then you ask another question, and you realize that, oh, nobody looked at yet, maybe possible, not possible to make such RNA, and it is always such a thing. If you are looking at something that somebody already did, that you are not a researcher. And I emphasize also that we, in an English word, is we should be just searcher. But we are researcher because we are repeating those experiments just to make sure that the result is good. So, you know, it's not a 100-meter dash, you know, to be a scientist. This is a marathon. You know, you just keep doing it, and you have to enjoy. And it doesn't matter that what is the topic. If you are enjoying, you will be better and better, even better, and then enjoy more, and then finally you just look around and you will be the expert on the world on something, you know.
Yeah, maybe I would like to add something. I completely agree with what you say, but for me, I mean, it's not that, what you do every day is fun all the time, of course not. To me, the difficulties I met in research have been many times compensated by education and teaching. For me, teaching has provided a balance in my life as a scientist. And the reason is that in research, well, first of all, you fail most of the time, and there are problems. And then what you do, you think, oh, I'm looking at this attosecond pulse, but it's really not useful at all. I mean, you want to do something useful in your life, so sometimes you feel, well, I'm spending a lot of money from the taxpayers. I mean, you have these doubts. And now if you teach, you go teaching to 100 students and you see that, oh, they understand something, and you get immediate feedback. Oh, what you're doing suddenly is useful, and you see that directly. So this has provided to me a little bit balance in this maybe sometimes difficult, research profession. So this is what I would like to stress. Don't forget teaching when you think about a career in science. And I can add that teaching is not only teaching to a class, it's also supervising PhD students. This is really important, and this is really in the middle between research and teaching. But whatever the results, you give this person some career, which could be in industry or in research, but you help this person really go through this 4 years PhD studies, which are extremely important in one's life. So, yeah.
One more question. Sorry, can you give microphone there?
Thank you. My name is Lena. I'm a medical student from University of Hamburg. And my question is, Professor Karikó, in your talk you outlined how career-driven research is much more promoted in the current scientific system than curiosity-driven research. And of course there are really impressive individuals that swam against the current and still managed to be curiosity-driven. But do you have a vision? How could the system be improved to make it easier for the majority of researchers to follow their mission and be curiosity-driven and have less impediments of, like practical impediments that are unnecessary?
So my personal example and meeting people and giving talk, and get familiar with what happened to me more and more at who are deciding at different agencies. They are looking at those kind of weirdo present, grants, which seems very unlikely. And I have to say, one thing I became famous at, named problem. There is a Karikó problem, was official now. Is meaning that if you come from unknown countries and who knows university and you never had a famous mentor, then you really, and coming out with an ideas, and you are really nobody. And now that they try to change that and they try to give more grants to those who might, proposing something which is out of the main stream, and so I hopefully, those who had working on a field which might be very unfamiliar with those who are like, they said that the advantage of to be in where no prestige, no money, no respect, that was I was, but at least there is a freedom that you can research something. But you need a connection, somebody has to help you financially. Even it was like a $40,000, $50,000 a year when I get 60,000 when I was 2010. So it was the minimal salary what postdoc would get, but I could do. And I mentioned that I no hobby, so no money is needed for that. So anyway, so that's what is, maybe this will, with my example, maybe help. That your grant will be funding.
Okay, thank you so much. What an incredible discussion. And thank you all for your questions and participation. And a huge thank you to Professor Katalin Karikó and Professor Rune and for sharing their time and insights with us today. It has really been an honor.
So don't be upset if you don't get the chance to ask your question, but in EUGLOH, we are fostering this environment So maybe we are building the next generation of Nobel laureates. So we will have another chance. So now we will end this roundtable talk. Thank you for your time, and we can proceed to the end of this session.
Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you so much for the audience questions. I think we truly had an amazing morning together, and now in the next 30 minutes, we will have the chance to enjoy a good cup of coffee. The coffee break will take place in the exhibition area right below the stairs, but before proceeding with that, we kindly ask all invited guests and members of the EUGLOH Alliance to gather in the lobby for a quick photo.
So thank you for your participation, and see you at 11:15 sharp for the plenary lectures. And now let's go down and have a picture taken. Thank you very much.